My name is Tony, and I'm here with my good friend and neighbour Kevin. And earlier this year, in early June, we successfully summited Mont Blanc, which has always been on our bucket list. We are recording this just to achieve two things, really. One, record it for our own purposes because it records the trip we did together. But also, with lots of people wanting to do something similar, we hope that you might find it useful and it might help you on that journey. And it was quite a journey, wasn't it, Kevin?
Yeah, it certainly was a journey. It's been a journey that I've wanted to do for a long, long time. I remember going skiing many years ago, and I was with the kids. And I got two young. Well, they were older kids now. They're adults now, but they were quite young. And I remember skiing with a guide or one of the guardians of the hostel or wherever we were staying in, and he said, yeah, he climbed Mont Blanc, and I thought, God, I like the sound of that. And it's one of those things, and that had to be, my kids are 26, so that had to be 20 years ago. And it's something then that's instilled in me then, and I thought, I need to do this. But how the hell do you actually climb Mont Blanc, and who do you go with? And that's the whole story.
That is the story, and actually we never
a mountain in itself to try and find out how you get there.
Yeah. But we never said it to each other, did we? I mean, we've been neighbours for 11 years, but we never
it's more
sort of
than that now.
And we
12, 13
yeah,
years, isn't it? Yeah.
And we've never said, to each other, we want to climb Mont Blanc. I remember coming home because we had a false start. I think it's worth saying. So, working in London, and on the way home, I've always had Mont Blanc on the horizon, and I decided I'm going to do it. And I put a deposit down on the train journey in. And I remember coming home and I was saying to Kev, mate, I've booked to go and do Mont Blanc. And he's like, I've always wanted to do it. And that grew. So we were then committed. And that was really the start of it.
Yeah, and we had another two guys
That's
that
right.
were going to do it. And we all met up. We paid our deposits, hadn't we? This was pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID.
We paid our deposits, and then so we were set to do it within like 9-10 months. I had booked the Airbnb, had booked that, and we'd booked the flights.
We booked the flights, yeah.
So we paid the deposit with the guide that you had spoken. How did you speak to the guide?
I found him as part of the sort of booking. I was doing a bit of research beforehand leading up to this anyway, but I found two. And I went with a guide. He's an English guy living out in Chamonix. I figured, actually, and we spoke on the phone a couple of times, so it was just an impulsive thing. Like, let's do it. He seemed like a nice guy. We never did get to meet him. We'll come to that story, later. But yeah, we were ready to go, committed. We had the other guys lined up to go, and then
you had just had your kids though, hadn't you? So they weren't that old.
Yeah.
So we're looking. This is pre-COVID. So how old were your children?
So Olivia would have been 3, and William would have just been about born.
Okay.
Because William was born in 2019.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So I was. So this was what year are we looking at?
2020.
2020. So we're 25. So I was 55 then.
Yeah.
And you were
44.
44.
Yeah.
44, 45. Yeah. So time wasn't on my side, I thought, but you had loads of time.
I had a bit more time.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that previous to that, though, for me, a friend of mine in 2012 or 11, because I was in the fire brigade at the time, they were going to climb Mont Blanc, and I had the opportunity to go with them. So that's something. But unfortunately, my mum was really ill when she was on death's door, so it just wasn't the right time. So I didn't go for that. And then I listened to their stories of them climbing it. There was 4 of them, and only 3 climbed it. One failed the attempt. So I knew it wasn't a given then, and I heard their stories of what went on. And And I thought, oh, I've missed my boat now. I've missed the boat. But then Tony's come along, and I think half the battle is finding someone to actually do this, because I don't think you can really do it on your own. You probably can, but I think, which we'll talk about later, the guides, they want you to be with someone of your own similar nature to do it, because if you have a racing snake, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Dynamics,
so you've got
really.
The dynamics, isn't it? So that's another thing we need to.
But also, it's good for your motivation. If you've got someone to train with who will, on a dark night, get you out to go and do that training, it is an important consideration for a lot of people.
But where we stood was where there was 4 of us that wanted to do it. One, but they all lived local. We all lived local, didn't we? But then the dreaded COVID hit.
Yeah.
Which then changed things considerably, as everyone knows. And it got to the point where, how did it pan out?
The way it affected us particularly was that, of course, all the huts were closed. You couldn't, you don't climb Mont Blanc most people don't climb Mont Blanc in one day. You have to stay up in the huts at altitude, and they were shut. You couldn't take bookings. I had a call with the guide that we had lined up at the time, and he just basically said, "Sorry, it's just not happening." And it all got a little bit sort of, no one's gone through this before. How do we get our refunds? Airbnb, the flights, and all this.
Yeah,
well,
I'll throw it into the Airbnb, and I remember what's happening because it's been a while ago. Airbnb were great. I basically said we cannot go because of COVID, and we got your money back. They were brilliant. Really was, you couldn't fault them for that. The flights were a pain.
Yes.
I don't ever remember getting any money back. I don't think we did get any money back.
No, although we did have a really good deal because we had a connection to sort out
one
the
of
flights.
the guys was a connection, but I still lost I'm sure we lost
it's about 60 quid.
60 to 100 quid out of that. Anyway, it is what it is with that. Then your guide, that went a bit sour.
It went a bit weird. He basically forced us to go and claim it on the insurance, which we did, and we got, I think, bar 10 quid, we got all our money back.
Which wasn't a great, I can't remember how much we paid.
It wasn't huge. It was a deposit.
150
quid
or something?
It wasn't a lot.
So it wasn't a great. We got the majority back though.
Yeah. So we were okay from that point of view, but it certainly left it took the air out of my sails a little bit. Because we'd started doing a bit of training by then. We were all focused.
We were focused, and then as you say, it went like everyone. Though, to be fair, was COVID times wasn't a good time. But it did think for me, I was thinking, well, how long is it going to take before we can do this again? And I'm getting older, and then that's what I was thinking, as I always do anyway. But I'm thinking.
I'm going to just tell everybody, Kev. So Kev's always said to me, ever since I've known him, that he's always said to Tony, "I've got 10 good summers." And that was 13 summers ago.
Yeah.
So he's a man in a hurry. But you are right. If you don't plan to do these things, time just gets away.
Well,
from
they do. I mean, all of a sudden, 5 years has gone, haven't it? And it goes on. Anyhow, so how do we actually get back to actually doing it then?
So you disappeared. You turned up one day and you said you're going to you've always got an itch to go and do some adventure.
Yeah.
And you basically came back and said, I'm going to do the skills course.
No.
No.
Before that, I know how it happened. It's who you know in life. I was happening to. Okay, let's get it right without confusing everyone. It's basically my wife's girlfriend's brother, who happens to live in Chamonix.
Yeah.
I went to see the brother-in-law. Well, he's not a brother. He is my brother-in-law and his girlfriend. And she happened to say her brother, who lives in Chamonix, has just done Mont Blanc last year or this season. And I'm going, oh my God, it's something I really want to do. How the hell did he sort it out? Or who was the guide he went with? Well, it just so happens I can put you onto him. And that's what I did. I came back. I think I rung him, spoke to him, and he said, yeah, this guide called Mike, yeah, I'll get him in contact with you, or you can in contact with him. He's great, etc. So I did. So I contacted Mike via email, and I said, is it possible to chat to you by phone? And he was quite amicable like that. Chatted to him, and he said, yeah, I've got it next year. We're doing Mont Blanc. But I'm doing a skills session in September. And this was, I think, was June then when I spoke to him. Of last year,
Yeah.
and he said, "Well, if you want to come along to that, you don't have to, but it will give you a good inkling of some Alps mountaineering on crevasses and stuff." And my experience, we should really say what our experience is. My experience is basically Welsh, Snowdon, Trefan, and then of scrambling and doing X amount of stuff on there, and also Scotland. I used to go to Scotland a lot in Cairngorms when I was in the fire brigade. We used to once a year, we used to go to Glenmore Lodge, which is right in the Cairngorms.
It was always snowy then, wasn't it?
It was always snowy.
We'll come to that later.
Yeah, we'll come to that. And we used to dabble in doing stuff. So I've had base stuff, but I've never done the Alps. And it's one of those things that with the Alps, I've gone skiing, but I've never done any climbing in the Alps. And you think, well, how the hell do you go and do it? You hear of all these people do this stuff, but how do you actually go and do it if you haven't got a partner to do it with, or you got a partner and you just don't turn up there, and it's all a big mystery of how you do it. But we had this guide called Mike, and he was willing to take me on. Well, you had to pay for it. I mean, it wasn't a cheap course. Yeah. That was another, I think that cost me about 1,500 quid to go for a week.
But you had an epic week.
But that was an epic. Well, that was a real boy's own adventure, as I call it, of doing climbing.
He had you in crevasses.
Yeah, we had in crevasses, actually literally in crevasses, hanging down on a thread with ice axes, crampons. So you're doing basic crampon work, you were doing basic ice work, rock climbing, scrambling, and this thing called via ferrata, which is basically hanging off bits of metal that's been bolted in a cliff face, and little ladders, tiny little ladders, but going not necessarily vertical, but also an overhangs. And, oh, my God, over a waterfall. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, what's going on? But it was great. It was good adventure. And he introduced us to the amazing hostels in the Alps, which are quite...
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah, an acquired taste. But when we went, it was very quiet, and they were in winter rooms, and we had them to ourselves. Yeah. It was a bit of an awakening going in the summer, but which we'll talk about.
We'll cover some of that. So it's probably worth at the moment.
But when coming back, I was buzzing, wasn't I? I was buzzing, and I thought, well, this is it, Mont Blanc. I've got to do, because the whole idea of doing for me was that 1 week was to get to know the guide, which I found a great guy, and also to know my limitations and what I can or can't do, and so. And I asked him, I said, do you think I can do this? And he said, yeah, you just need to, because he called me a diesel. An diesel
engine,
I'm an old diesel engine. He says, as long as you keep your old diesel engine going, you'll be fine. So I thought, okay, well, I can train. My running days, unfortunately, seem to be over, but I can walk, and I just keep that going. But
you are a diesel engine. I mean, he has you absolutely pegged because you just keep going.
We'll keep that train. we'll go on to training later. But I thought, okay, that's great. I know where we stand. And I came back, said to Tony, this guy, Mike, he's great. You need to either decide. And he gave us about 3 to 4 weeks after that to decide to go. He said, you need to go with a partner because I only take 2 people. You don't want to go with someone you don't know because you need to have known their training and you need to be able to work together.
And it is, and so there's a couple of things worth explaining, and we'll go into a bit later. So the ratio of guide to kind of people like us is 1 to 2. So anyone that goes, so it's always convenient for the guide to have, somebody who knows, who's always got somebody else who they already get on with from a team dynamic point of view. So that's the ratio to go up Mont Blanc, which was good. People might have seen me nodding my head when you were going down, talking about crevasses and stuff. So my level of experience out in the mountains is from many years ago, Duke of Edinburgh. I spent a lot of time in Wales and Scotland. The kind of the near future, last 15, 20 years, 30 years, I've done none of that. But I've always been very active. I'm a runner. I'm a plodder, is what I affectionately call myself. And so I'm relatively active, but I wouldn't say particularly, healthy. Healthy, but not necessarily fit. I remember having a call then with Mike, and I still don't know Mike's. We call him Mountain Mike. I don't think I know Mike's surname.
No, I can't think of it.
But we'll put it. We'll put.
I call him Magic Mike Mountain.
We'll put his details on in the video somewhere. We're I had a call with him, and in fact, the 3 of us were on the call, and he said, I asked Kev how you were like, what's your fitness level, and I said, well, he said, are you like Kev? And he said, are you like Kev? He's a bit of a diesel engine. He just keeps plodding. I said, well, I'm about the same.
Which I took as a big insult at the time, but it's fair enough.
I said I was a better looking version, but
you and a lot younger.
Yeah, and I did say a lot younger. Yeah. So we met Mike. We're now into Mont Blanc 2.0, right? Second go. We didn't. We've decided it's just the 2 of us and the guide this time. Yeah. Because A, that's what Mike wanted. B, that's what time allowed. And C, it allows us to really get control of the training a bit as well.
Plus the fact, I think any more would have had to have a second guide, and you've got a bigger group. So to have 2, it makes it a smaller, tighter unit. Yeah. Which I think works fine. Yeah. Plus for accommodation as well, which we're going to.
Yeah. So it all worked out well. We go on. We've known each other for many years, so sharing a room with you was no problem.
It was a problem for me. Sharing with
yeah, we were so knackered. The snoring didn't matter. It doesn't
matter. I don't snore.
No, you don't. Apparently not. So there's a couple of things I think it's worth exploring. So let's park Mont Blanc for now, and we'll come back to it because the training really is what consumed us for the next.
Right. What do we have? Well, I remember saying to Mike as I left him on that at Chamonix, because I went to Chamonix to meet him to do the stuff. So I remember the last day he says you've got 9 months. Yeah.
Let's have a talk about the training bit. Yeah. Because that was really what consumed us for the next sort of 8-9 months.
So I had 9 months. I remember that 9 months to get this stuff in. He said, "Go and walk to me." He said, "Go and walk to Land's End or something like that." And I thought, okay, I knew where my level was, because it wasn't easy doing his stuff up and down the glaciers. And I thought, well, I need to get myself fitter. I was okay, but I needed to get fitter, and that's where we thought, right, what we needed to put some landmarks in these 9 months, what we were going to do.
People ought to know that we live in West Sussex, and we do not have like the big. It's not well known for huge mountains. And we have got the South Downs, which have got some pretty sharp bits.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not taking anything away from the South Downs because it's good training there.
Really good, and we did. I think if I remember, close to Christmas, I can't remember which side, we did a good 15-miler walk along the South Downs, and that was a good stretch.
We decided, we both got dogs, haven't we? So we thought it was a good idea. We can take the dogs as well. So we thought, right, let's start our walking off by doing luckily my wife could drop us off, because the trouble with the South Downs, it's very hard to, well, you can do circulars, but it's easier if someone drops you off and picks you up the other end, which is always quite nice. And you always aim to find a pub
Finish at
at
the
the
pub.
end, which always helps. Well, we started off and then we did this 15-miler, didn't we? And then ended up in a pub and had lunch. That was the first one, which is always
And
nice.
this was exciting for me because I'd bought my new boots.
Yes.
At that point. So
now that's the thing.
Breaking in boots is probably the thing we talked about the most.
The equipment, because when you do Mont Blanc, you can't just have a little rucksack and just a pair of, you need proper mountain boots, and the mountain boots you need have to be crampon compatible, so they have to be quite stiff. So, but your training you don't want to bugger your feet up straight away, so you need to do it in softish type. All depends on the terrain you're doing on. But we were doing it on the South Downs.
And that was great. That was perfect. That was perfect for us. We got out. I think that we got some pretty cold days, I remember, to contend with, which was great. My biggest concern in all of this is that, you've been out, you've experienced it. I'm still pretty nervous about my own fitness level and my ability to kind of do this. But, I think in most cases with a bit of training and a bit of mental strength, you can get through most of these challenges. But the kit was the most important. So having the boots, you'd already had a trusted pair, and breaking them in to know that you at least give yourself a good chance of being able to succeed without damaging your feet was always a good start.
I mean, you were quite wise. You had your trainers, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, in my bag.
And breaking in boots, you can really ruin your feet straight away, and then you can't walk for a week afterwards. So it is important to break. Luckily, with modern boots now, they're not as bad as the old leather, hard leather boots. So it makes it a bit easier. So we started the training of doing South Downs stuff, and then we thought we better get some height and more weather terrain. So the thing is Snowdon and Scotland. So we booked
Snowdonia was first,
but now we've also looked at videos, haven't we?
Yes.
And there's a particular one on there, and it's called Mont Blanc Mountain Guides, which is a good YouTube video to watch. And they particularly go on to the fitness of what you need. And it seemed to go on about stamina, and you need to be able to walk constantly for at least an hour and a half at a reasonable speed, wasn't it? Uphill. So that was and
if anything is ever going to make you feel uncomfortable, it's that statement. For most people, that's quite hard.
And with a bit of a pack of weight on your back as well. But you didn't have to go excessive. I always think if you put too much weight on your back, you're going to hurt yourself. So it's not. However, I had discovered poles, walking with poles, because my knees aren't the best of knees. So I've had trouble, which I'll go into a bit later, of how my knees have gone. But these poles has really helped me get up and down the hills. So they help me keep going. Yeah.
Poles, I think, and the more I talk to people about, serious walkers and hikers, they were frowned upon for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think people really understand the benefits. And if you're going, as we were, for really long walks, I mean, they're an essential piece of kit. I wouldn't have done it without them for sure.
No, I don't think. I think it'd be very difficult to do.
But we had Wales. For Wales, we pre-booked. We stayed in the youth hostel.
Yeah, so we booked the youth hostel at Penny Pass.
Penny Pass, wonderful. And I hadn't been there for the last time I was there was probably on one of my Duke of Edinburgh trips when I was a kid. So the whole thing has been modernised. The food was amazing, and it's right at the foot of the climb, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's an ideal. You can park up if you're lucky to get a parking space there, but they have got designating spaces for you, but you've got it. It's still.
And we were lucky, weren't we? We were lucky.
We were very lucky. It is a busy place to go, but it's buzzing, and everyone's there for the same reason, to get up on the hills, which is great. And I've used the youth hostel stuff with my kids actually, and it's great. You get a family room as well, and I found it really good. So we had a small room,
Yep.
with an ensuite with a shower that didn't really work very well, and you might as well describe it as a ship's locker room. Really.
It was a little bit like
It's
that.
not. You don't pay a fortune for it. It wasn't a fortune.
It was
but
somewhere to
wasn't-
sleep.
It wasn't cheap, but it's not a fortune.
Yeah.
It's warm. It's a bunk bed. Luckily, you took the top bunk. And I always took my trusty kettle with us.
There's nothing
Gotta
better
take
than
a
a
trusty
nice
kettle.
nice coffee in
Yeah,
the
because you
room.
never get a coffee in the room. They never give you a coffee in the room.
Do you know one thing I remember about going into the youth hostel? We bumped into those 4 young lads, and they must have been late teenagers, early 20s at the most.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yes.
And I think they were ex-forces or in the
One
forces,
was in the Navy.
or in the Navy.
Yeah.
But I was just struck, and we hadn't checked in properly by then. I was just struck by how wonderful it was. I mean, we're 50 and 60 years old.
Yeah.
Stood there, and these guys were spending their free time that they could be down the pub, preparing to go and do some hiking. But the one thing, the icing on the cake, was that their dream was to climb Mont Blanc, and we were just stood next to them saying, well, we're about to go and do it in a few months.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the goal was to do Snowdon because we had listened on this Mont Blanc Guides YouTube to do Snowdon in a day twice. They reckon, because all the exercises they're saying you need to walk up and down hills and you need to keep constant walking for an hour and a half before you stop, etc., etc. But the thing they did say was to do Mont Blanc,
Snowdon
twice in
Yeah.
a day. So that was
I think they used it as a
level.
comparison. So it's like, I think they might have said something like, that's like walking Snowdonia twice in a day.
Yeah.
So it was a bit like, okay, well, let's put that to the test.
Yeah.
So we did, so we got there, quite late, I think on a Friday night. So we started walking fairly early the next morning.
I think we had breakfast though. Still, I mean,
Yeah.
I think we had breakfast, which is about 7:30. We were out by 8:00.
Yeah.
And it was when we got out there. Now, when is this? Was this December or January?
No, this is January, late January, early February time.
Okay, and it was cold.
It was cold.
It was cold, and it was so cold that there was the rocks that we were walking over were very icy, and to a point where you could really hurt yourself.
Yeah. In fact, I did. I remember giggling, thinking, we'll be on our backsides before we know it. And I went first.
Next, you went first. That's probably me. So we started the walk out, and the idea of it, we were going to go up this thing called
Pig track?
Crib. Yeah, we followed the pig track, and then we were going to go up this thing called Crib Gok, which is like a ridge. But we got to the point where you can go up on this ridge because it makes the walk a bit more scrambly and a bit more exciting. And I had done it probably about 2 years before, and you
I'd done it a long time before that, yeah.
long.
Time, yeah.
Okay, so I said, well, we'll try that because it'll break the walk up into a bit of a scramble as well, which is always nice. So we got to the point where you started to go up and then realised, I thought, or we both thought, it's too icy, it's too dangerous to go up on this ridge, and we didn't have any crampons
No.
at that time. Well, I had them, but I don't think I even packed them because you hadn't got them, so it was pointless. So we decided to keep going around the pig track and then make our way up to the top of the Snowdon summit. We were very lucky that day because it was cold, but it was very clear.
It's beautiful.
It was a beautiful day to a point where the clouds, we actually got above the clouds, and it was like you were in the Alps.
And
then.
we had that inversion. Do you remember the clouds were like below our feet?
Well, hopefully you get some pictures of
we'll put them up.
Of these clouds coming over the ridges. It was pretty amazing.
And the top third of that first climb was in snow, was in ice. Do you remember?
Yeah,
we were struggling to get up that last bit.
Very slippery, so you had to take your time as you went up. And then you get to the point, and how many? I mean, with this probably took us 2.5 hours.
Yeah, about
to
that.
get up.
Yeah.
2 hours to get up to the summit. But before you get into summit, you went into a snow line, didn't you? There's
Yeah.
snow there. And then we got up to the summit, which was great. And it was just an amazing, we took some lovely
view
photos.
was great.
Didn't it? And then we decided to go and see if we can do Crib Goch again, but on the way
On
back.
the way back. And not many people do that, right?
No, everyone that we were walking towards Crib Goch were coming the other way.
Yeah, everyone I think was saying that we're either brave or stupid. I'm not sure which one. There were certain comments about the direction of where we're heading.
Yeah, so but the weather was good and it seemed to be dry on top of Crib Goch, so we went for it and we went across the ridge and it was a great scramble.
It was.
It?
So by then, because obviously time had passed, the much of the ice had melted, the snow was hitting on Crib Goch, so it melted all that away. So from a safety point of view, it was doable. It wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't doable.
It was more that we weren't counting on doing it in that direction.
Yeah,
and there was some pretty steep scrambles, which is good.
But it was all good doable, and it was good fun, enjoyable. I didn't feel too vulnerable at all.
No. So that was good. So we got down to we finally made our way down through Crib Goch, down to the bottom. I remember we sat there, had a good 15, 20 minutes, bit of sandwiches, bit of coffee, and then we went again.
Yeah, so we went and we did exactly the same route again, up to top of Snowdon.
Yeah.
But this time, once we got to the top, we then came back down the pig track and then went down the minus track.
I remember at the top of that, the second time.
We did like a sort of an 8.
Sort of an 8.
Sort of an 8.
I remember trying to go up to touch the trig point for the second time, and there's a group of people up there, sort of, as there are, because it's quite busy. And I put my hand on this thing, and they were trying to get a photograph, and they said, "I'm really sorry," to me. And I said, "No, don't worry. This is my second time up here in the day." And they were like, "What?" And I think it was more because we're quite old, Kev.
Because we are quite old.
I was standing close to you, so
I'm older
by inference, so they put me in the same category.
Yeah.
But that was good. So the pig track was interesting, though. Sorry, the miners track, because actually that went on forever.
And they go on forever and ever and ever until you get back.
Yeah.
And there was a pint wait.
And we were torches on. We came back.
Yeah,
it was dark. So
yeah, we had to have our head torches on. But getting to the into the hostel, and they do have a nice bar.
And a nice pint. What did we learn from Snowdon? Was it worth it? I mean, for me, my highlight was absolutely doing it twice, and the weather. The weather was on our side.
We were very lucky.
It was brilliant.
We were very lucky with that. So we done that. We achieved that. We'd done 2 summits in a day, so that was good. And my legs were still there, so that was good. And then we came back, so that we were basically away for 3 days, weren't we, really? A day to get there, a day to do it, and it's not a day to get back, half day to get back.
It was nice to come off that trip having... I'm going to put a question to you that I don't think I've asked you before, because I'm sure you had doubts in your mind about whether I was fit enough to do it.
I didn't think it wasn't the fitness thing. I wasn't sure. I'd never gone across... scrambling stuff with you.
Yeah.
Never done that before.
That's true, yeah.
And I wasn't sure how you would react because, I've done it with other people and I've never...
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure, but you were fine, so that was...
It was nice to come away from that trip thinking, actually, I ticked a big box. Both because I think we were able to kind of sense check each other's abilities at the end of that trip, but... that we didn't come away hating each other as well, because pretty confined, which helps.
Yeah, which helps. Yeah, I mean, that's a good stead because we had a long journey from then. Okay, so we got back and then we had the Scotland trip booked. Had we booked that, or we were going to book that?
Yeah, I think we booked that fairly quickly after that trip because we want to try and get some... so the one thing, didn't have any crampons. I had no experience of real cold. And what we were trying to create by going to Scotland, to the Cairngorms, where Kev's been lots of times, was to go and find some snow and some cold and to get the crampons out.
Yeah. So between... When did we go to Scotland? What month did we go?
March?
Yeah, actually, it was probably March. Yeah, probably was March. My birthday's April, so I don't remember Had we gone before that?
Yeah, I think we did because we
Probably
wouldn't have
was March.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we did some more training between, didn't we?
But I think we were pretty much in our own, doing our own thing. I was running 5K every day, as I've often tried to do.
Every day?
Pretty much every day.
Wow, that's cool.
And I got a few good stretches of doing that, which was great. I've got a running machine at home, so I was running at home. Life takes over, work, obviously, as anyone will know, trying to fit training into a work schedule, it's always tough. But we had the Cairngorms really as our next
Yeah,
big...
we did. Now, my training was basically, because I don't run, was just walking. And I've got this dog, this lurcher dog, Shobi, that just loves to walk. So that's great. So I was doing loads of walks.
Yeah.
She loves an hour and a half walk. So basically I was doing lots of hour and a half walks, 2 hour walks, going up onto South Downs and doing a 3 hour, 4 hour walk with her. So that was and cycling. So I love the cycling. So I was doing a bit of that. So that was helping. But then I started to get knee trouble more.
Actually, that's right, because you started having this before we got to the Cairngorms.
Yeah, I had this when I met Mike in September. My knees were starting to play up, but they got worse. But we're going to, when we got to Scotland, and they got really bad. So we'd done that, and then Scotland came along, didn't it?
Scotland was good. There's a couple
we had 3 full days of Scotland. Was it a 5-day trip? Wasn't
5-day trip. We had a 14-hour drive up there, or something like that.
Up to Cairngorms, Glenmore, which is right near Aviemore.
Aviemore, yeah. So this is and the Cairngorms Glenmore Lodge.
Yeah.
Is the UK kind of...
It's their premier outdoor
training centre.
It's like Plessy Brannan, but in the Welsh.
So they're really set up, and it
version.
was great. They're really welcoming. We had great accommodation. The food was fantastic. You don't have to use their guides, so we were... you'd been there before.
Yeah, I'd been there, and it was an open house. We could do what we want, but it is designed as a course-orientated centre, so you're meant to do a course. But they don't do that now. Well, they still do that, but they open it up to people that just want to stay there and have a bed and breakfast or bed and breakfast and a main meal if you want it. Yeah. So we just opted that. And a good room, wasn't it?
It was really good. Food was great. They also have, because they've got experts and tutors there in the evenings, they would do a briefing about avalanches.
Yeah, they do lectures.
And that was great.
And they're free.
You can sit there with your drink and have a...
Yeah, you can listen to the lectures and ask questions and listen to them. It's good. It's an education centre.
The one thing I also like about both Wales and Scotland is you're surrounded by like-minded people. Everybody is there to enjoy the great outdoors and share their stories, and you kind of just lapping it up, aren't you? You kind of just feeding off their stories.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a great escape where you're going to go and do your hobbies.
Yeah,
isn't it? And Glenmore is a beautiful part of the world.
Beautiful. So this is where it gets really quite interesting, because so Kevin's been lots of times, and part of the reason going up, as I said before, was snow, ice.
Cold.
We turned up. The day we turned up, it was 20 degrees.
Yeah, it was.
In the bright... So, come to Scotland, there'll be plenty of snow. We can try to cramp it. It was 20 degrees, bright sunshine. Come to the Cairngorms, he said. There'll be loads of snow, he said. None! Still, we're here. We're going to make the most of it. Sunshine.
Shorts.
We were in shorts. It was. We'll put some clips up, and it was just really stunning atmosphere. But there's a twist to this, because and we'll come to that a bit later. So our program was 3 days of walking.
Yeah.
We arrived there quite late, so we kind of discounted that day.
Well, we had a little walk, didn't we? That first.
We did that little stretch.
Yeah, we had a stretch out, a little walk just to. Of the area, but nothing major, and then we ended up in the pub, as we
do.
And they got a nice bar there. Actually,
they have got a very good bar. So our first day was then Cairngorm.
Yeah, we went up to Cairngorm. So you get up in the morning. We drove to the ski centre, which isn't far away, 15 minutes drive up the hill basically, and it gets you right into the Cairngorms centre itself. And then we basically parked there and walked off, and we did a good 8-hour day.
Yeah,
day.
it was pretty good. And the thing about that, it was from zero to hero. It was you were at the base of the climb, and then you were straight into a climb. It wasn't like
and it's good training.
Good training, and I did feel. I was listening back to some clips of us walking, and I could hear it because I had a chest camera.
Oh, did you?
And so I know I was definitely working hard, and about 3/4 of the way up this climb, we found a patch of snow.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we did. I remember that now. And I said, you can get your crampons out, because basically we took an ice axe and crampons. Not that we needed the ice axe, but we just needed the weight in our bags, and might as well get used to using them. And I said, well, we might as well get your crampons on now, because it doesn't look like you're going to get a chance anytime soon.
And I did. I put them on. It's good practice, isn't it? Right? Put them on and off. And I think there's a clip we'll put on later. It was christened on that walk on a bit of snow. Found some snow. Finally, got to try the crampons. And then it wasn't such a long effort to get to the summit of that, because they're not particularly high. I can't remember. Is it 600 meters? Not even 600 meters, maybe.
Oh, do you know, without looking,
no.
I can't remember. It's not particularly, but it's a trudge to get to.
Yeah.
Once you're up on the ridges, or on they're like whalebacks, really. It's not that hard to get to, but it's getting up on the whalebacks, as I call it. It's the hard part. But
we found another big patch.
We did, and then we had another play, didn't we? I got
just some ice axe arrests.
Yeah, we had a mess about, which was great.
So we're in the Cairngorms. We have done a bit of walking. We managed to find a patch of snow and did a bit of practicing. So the crampons have been officially christened on the Cairngorms, and the ice axe came out. Did some arrests, which is you probably can't see it very well. It's quite steep. But anyway, if you brought it all the way up here, you might as well have a go, right? So, onwards.
Right.
So in this time, do you remember that young girl who she was into shorts and trainers?
Yes,
so there we are, as Kevin
dog.
and I, in all of our kit. Helmets on, glasses on. I've got crampons, I've got an ice axe with me. And in the distance, this girl, shorts, hair back, comes trundling over,
whizzing
and
through.
Walked straight past the snow where I was just practicing.
Run past.
Yeah,
and she actually ran across the snow, whereas we're all cramponed up, and she just ran with a pair of trainers on.
She must have thought, what are these two idiots up to?
Exactly.
But we quickly left there and continued along, and it was a lovely walk. Again, the weather was nice.
It was perfect. It was lovely, and then we went up to the summit, didn't we? And then we walked back, and it took another good hour and a half to come down, doesn't it? And then we found a nice bar.
There's a surprise for you.
It was actually a refractory type, but it was nice. We sat out in the sun, perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, these weren't twinging too much, but on the descents they started to play up.
I think this was a common thing for your knees, wasn't it? Going
up is fine.
Flat and up was okay.
Well, flat wasn't good.
Eventually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Up wasn't bad, but coming down, they were important.
Yeah. I think that's when I saw you struggle the most is on the way down.
Yeah, and then we haven't got to that day
No.
yet.
No.
Yeah, so we did that. That was a good day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so
the next day, we were decided to go and walk up to
at the back of
yes.
Glenmore, which was basically another group of mountains, but it's quite a walk to it. I haven't got my maps with me, but it's a good walk. You go past this hostel, Bynack Stable. Go past Bynack Stable, and you keep walking up, keep going, and there's a group of mountains that you go up higher to, and then you come back. But that day, the weather changed.
So day number 2, and we're starting our walk at the lodge today. So we're going from here, no driving. Bit of a contrast to yesterday. So the blue skies have now gone and instead been replaced with clouds, and I think the temperature is -2 down here at least. And there is a bit of a forecast for some snow, and we might get some snow up top, I don't know. But anyway, this feels a lot more like Scotland, and a lot more like the sort of training we should be doing. So let's see how today goes. Oh boy, did it.
You got your snow.
We got the snow. So we started, this is the level walking was all fine, and we were still like in 18, 19, 20 degrees. We had all our kit, because for weight to get used to carrying it. Important to say that on this trip, I made my first big investment, pair of gloves. So my biggest fear of all of this was that I suffer from very, very bad, very cold hands. So we went to a shop, and I've got them down here actually. They're Hestra gloves, and we got a good deal.
Yeah,
and they came in handy. So as we started to climb, we thought, it's getting a bit cold. We could see a bit of sort of dusting in out in the distance. And as we got higher and higher, it became obvious that we're in a bit of a blizzard. And you can see there are some clips that we'll probably try and add later, but where we go from kind of smiling to kind of having horizontal snow in your eye. Come to the Cairngorms, he said.
Apologise.
I'm sorry, Kev. Come to the Cairngorms, he said. There'll be lots of snow. Arctic conditions.
And there was.
He weren't wrong, was he?
Exactly, and then we were trying to find the summit, and it never came. There's no summits ever do, and we kept going, and it was getting really blustery up there, wasn't it? Now I've got this little tent thing.
That was amazing. That was.
I've got this little shelter thing, which is basically a little bivvy, but you put it over, both put it over our heads, and then lean back, and you can sit down. You can have a cup of coffee in this out of the storm. Just good. I rung my wife.
We had a call, yeah.
We had a call.
Great reception up there.
Yeah, it was great reception. You never get good reception down in the town,
No.
do you? So, but yeah, so that gets you out of the weather for a while. But you really felt, and it was cold. You could feel your hands getting cold. So we were getting the experience of the weather.
We absolutely did, and I had to eat my words because there was indeed snow.
We certainly got snow
that time of year.
And then we sort of tried to get the summit. We didn't actually reach the summit.
No,
so
we went
for 100 metres within it, 50 metres within it.
We made a decision because it was not only was the snow coming at us, the wind had really picked up to the point that it was trying to knock us off our feet. If you remember, along the edge. So we made a call to turn back then. We weren't going to achieve anything by making it anyway. And we trundled down. So got crampons on at this stage. I've got my Hestra. I'm feeling quite warm and cozy. We've just had a nice cup of tea halfway down the side of the hill. And like as you're walking, you're looking at your feet. And I was like, Kev, I've lost my crampon. I'd been walking for I don't know how long, but maybe 10, 15 minutes. With one crampon on, and I mean these things cost £200, right?
There, got one there. It was about 150 quid, isn't it? Yeah. So you don't want to lose 75 quid's worth.
But it was funny because you did something that never occurred to me. Is you kept so don't worry, we'll tow back, and you kept going crampon, no crampon, crampon, no crampon.
Well, you can
crampon,
see,
no
you
crampon.
can see the crampon, no crampon. So let's just follow the trail. So we followed the trail up, and it kept going up. Of course, it kept going up, and up to the point where we found the crampon.
Yeah.
And that was probably a good 10 minutes.
If you're going to learn a lesson, though, that's the place to learn it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it always helps if you can find the thing.
Yeah.
Because that would have been expensive mistake.
It would have been. Glad we found it.
We got that on, and then we got down, but my knees were starting to hurt then.
That was a bad day for you towards the end, wasn't it? Because it was a downhill.
It was downhill, and then it was flat.
Yeah.
And then it got flat, and my knees were starting to kill me.
Yeah.
They really, really hurting. I thought, what's going on here? Which I was thinking, crikey, if I can't do this, can I actually do Mont Blanc?
Yeah.
And that was, but we've paid our deposits by then, and you start thinking, well, if I pull out, that's going to also mess Tony up. and you have that pressure, and it's not good.
No.
It's not good.
But the other thing, and we talked about this at length at the time, was that actually happening then was still okay, because you're still, even the worst case scenario of, some surgical intervention, you probably still had just about enough time to kind of get through it.
About 9 weeks then before we were going to go. So basically, the long and the short, we had one more extra day, didn't we? We had an extra day. And that night, I was in agony before we went. I was really in pain, so I was throwing down the painkillers and stuff. And I could bet I was limping.
You were
limping, going to get breakfast and do all that. And I think on hindsight, I shouldn't have done that day. However, it was a good day.
I did say, your call, Kev, we're here, but we can go home. But you're adamant we wanted to go out and try and give it a go. And I think as much for me as for yourself. But it was nice. It wasn't,
But then we worked a route because I thought, I can't do the long flat bits up to the mountain. But if we look, there's the mountain right at the back of Glenmore, or at the front of Glenmore as it is. And it goes straight up. And I can do
You can do up.
I can do up. It doesn't hurt. But it was steep, wasn't it? Through the forest. It's nice. Through the forest and up. And it was steep. And we got to the top. I wasn't suffering too bad.
What goes up
must come down. And that's the problem. And I was in agony coming down.
You could see the relief in your face when we got it done.
Well, we got it done, but it took forever, didn't it? But it was a beautiful day again. We had dusting of snow everywhere, and it was a lovely day. So it was worth doing in that respect.
Yeah.
However, we drove home the next day, we drove home early. The next day.
Yeah.
And because I'm in the car for 12 hours, I now can barely move my legs or my right knee. And this, I thought, oh my God, I've got to see someone.
Don't underestimate it. We were worried, right? That you were worried, and I was worried for you, because this was something. It wasn't just a sprain. This was something big.
Yeah, it was something going on, and I needed to get it sorted. So I thought, I can't go through the NHS because it's going to take 9 weeks just to see a doctor. So I've paid money out, and I saw a knee surgeon.
Yeah.
And he said, you've got I saw him within a week or 10 days or whatever it was of me getting back. And, but before that though, we've got to say, were you having physio? Were you having physio before Scotland?
I would always have physio.
Just because
it's quite nice.
We admitted this. I was having physio before Scotland because my knees were playing up then, and she was getting it right. But then I came back to her and said, I'm in really bad pain. I need to see a surgeon. Yeah. Or a knee
and this
specialist.
is it was the same person that we were seeing.
Yeah, because we live in the same village. It's easy. We know everyone. So I saw this surgeon, and within a week of coming back, and he said, you've got a torn meniscus in your left knee. And I thought, oh my God, how am I going to get over this then? And he said, well, what we can do is put some surgery in it. I said, well, I'm going in 8 weeks then, or 7 weeks. And he says, it's just not going to happen. He said, well, I said, can't you put a steroid in it? And he said, yeah, we can do that. And then, well, why didn't you say that in the first place? So I paid a load of money out, a lot of money, to get that done. Well, he said I had a torn meniscus. He said, but you got to go for a ultra, what do they
MRI.
call it? MRI. So I paid a fortune to see that. Got that done within a week. It's amazing what money does. And they said, yeah, got a torn meniscus. He said, well, we can put a short than long. I got a steroid in there, and it seemed to do the trick to a point.
You were so ecstatic about.
Yeah, it seemed to really help. And a lot of people say it doesn't help, but it really did help.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of fit again to carry on.
So this is and as you're getting better, I'm getting a bit more cocky, and occasionally I have a little bit of a twinge, and I'm like, I've come out in sympathy pains, Kev, sympathy pains, and then it hit me.
Your knee.
My knee. I woke up one morning and I just could hardly move. It was just like and I remember saying to my wife, Natalie, I said, you know,
This is 4 weeks in.
this is 4 weeks
before we go.
Before we go, I was
Yeah.
like, I can't believe I'm facing the prospect of spending all that money doing all that training, and now A, letting you down, but B, being knackered, absolutely not be able to do this. I was in so much pain. Anyway, I went to see our physio, and she had a good look at it. She said, "Look, it's not a meniscus. From what I could tell, it's not. But I had very, very tight ITB bands, which probably means more to people listening than to me. But effectively, I just needed really deep tissue massage on my legs, and I thought that can't be it because the pain is excruciating. But actually, it was. You know, worked through it, did all the massage treatment, and did the dry needling, and sure as anything, it came back.
It got better.
Came good.
It got better.
Got
Within
better.
2 weeks. Of the
I
thing,
started running again just to
which
like.
I thought was nuts.
I know, but I had to because I don't want it to be up in the middle of a mountain, top of a mountain for it to go. So we were back on good form.
Yeah, well, to a point.
To a point. So we're basically old and knackered,
Yeah.
but quite well prepared.
Yeah, to a point. Yeah. And I thought, well, we just got to go for it now. Well, because when we spoke to him, he had booked all the hostels or these refuges, as they call them. They were all booked, and it was time to go. So we then flew out, didn't we?